It's the watch list, everyone. It is the watch list. How you guys doing? Good morning. It's a beautiful situation, or afternoon or evening, depends on where you are. It doesn't matter, you're here with me. And it's a Tuesday, so you know what that means. Who else is with me? It's Francesca Fiorentini on a Tuesday.
Hell yeah.
Or could it be a Friday, or maybe it's a Wednesday, or a Monday?
Until we figure out a cute little Francesca on Tuesdays situation, then I don't know. You're gonna have to say my full ass name. I feel sorry for you,
I'm
Jayar.
not convinced that it's just a Tuesday for you. Let me be honest here. I think it could go back to Wednesday, maybe Friday. Who knows?
Maybe it is a Friday.
You move along the week, like you just own the place. But everyone loves you, so of course it happens this way. Thank you guys for being with us as well. We love you too. Like, subscribe, please share the show with everyone you know and love, because they will also know and love this as well. We have a lot to get to today. And I'm so glad you're here to do this with me, Francesca, because there's a few that I just can't wait to get your opinion on. Absolutely beginning with this one. Over the weekend, we saw a lot of things that happened at CPAC and AFPAC and all of these conferences for conservatives where they say insane things from the stage. But what we didn't see yet until our very own Rebel HQ correspondent, if you will, David Schuster, took to the floor and spoke to some of the participants, some of the audience members at CPAC. Let's watch this.
If Putin came over here, I would probably join his forces and take out these rhinos that we have and the corrupt government.
Steve Bannon said we should support Putin because he's anti-woke.
Putin ain't woke. He is anti-woke.
The Russians, people still know which bathroom to use.
Really? Well, I guess he doesn't put up with wokeism in his country, and I don't know if we should put up with it in ours.
Well, just like Tucker Carlson said and President Trump said, that Putin is a genius, and he is a genius. He's playing the rest of the world chess where Biden is playing checkers.
The war in Ukraine could have been avoided with having our own oil independence.
So you think there's more that you think if we had been independent in terms of energy, the war in Ukraine would not have happened?
I'm not going to say that. Could have been avoided with having our own oil independence.
And what would Trump have done differently in your estimation?
I don't know.
What about all those conservatives, Republicans who say, we should support Vladimir Putin, like Steve Bannon, like Donald Trump?
Personally, I disagree strongly with that.
Donald Trump, Mike Pompeo, they're wrong on that.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Oh, you guys can hear me now?
Yay.
Here I am. Hi, everyone. I think I went wrong there. Anyways, it's okay. So, Francesca.
Start over, Jayar.
I'm all there. All I've said is my favorite person was the lady with the oil independence. Now, we didn't make sure we get off of foreign oil, or else this war wouldn't have happened. Then she changed her mind, or she didn't know what she said.
But bless her little heart, you know what I mean? You rarely see people at these events sort of like show any sort of self-doubt, because that's seen as weakness. So she's like, well, now that you said my words back to me, I don't know if I would put it exactly that way. Oh, I just did. Yeah, it's not actually coffee in this coffee cup. Like, I liked her out of all of them. If we're picking faves, which obviously we are, yes. But it is painful and ridiculous. I mean, somewhere James Bond, all of the Bonds are just like, like Sean Connery is like, how dare they? Like there's a, that's not the best Sean Connery I've got. But like, it is incredible to see, however many years after the Cold War that we've done a complete 180 and the far right is actually championing what in any other given day, they're just gonna call communism, depending on whether they like it or not, right?
We've seen them even talking about dictatorships, and if there's ever gonna be a dictator, I want it to be Donald Trump. We've seen that famous clip there from people like that. And when they get around a bunch of folks that rouse each of them up, then they're in this fever pitch where they're ready to say all these things and believe these sound bites of things that politicians and pundits have told them. So by the way, that's only just a little snippet of it, Francesca, because a lot more of it by you guys as well. There's a lot more that Schuster put up on Rebel HQ, the YouTube channel. These are just parts. I do want to get to the second part though, where he was sitting next to the merch section, talked about some of the things that they were selling. Let's check that out as well.
Ride the red wave, $30.
Ride the red wave means get on the conservative train.
So a wave that leaves a mark.
Yes, a mark of conservatism.
A mark that leaves a stain.
Kind of, yes.
Red stain, so a very special time of the month.
Yes.
A gun purse.
Gun purse, what does that do?
Oh, it's just for show, for fashion. It's making a statement.
What's the statement?
The right to bear arms.
So you can put a gun in there?
No.
What does conservative fragrance smell like?
Confidence, apparently.
I thought a conservative fragrance would be a limited fragrance.
No, I think conservative fragrance will be a luxury fragrance. You know, high-end luxury.
Not for the working people. Tell me about their cause. What are the truckers trying to do?
Well, I mean, it was a very peaceful rally in Ottawa, Canada.
It wasn't so peaceful in some of the other places, though.
No.
Well, they rose up against tyranny also. Defending freedom, they rose up and
taking the streets.
Absolutely, take it to the streets and.
Isn't that what Black Lives Matter also did?
Funny how that works sometimes. And I think this gets to another big portion of the event was get there, sell your random merch. I get the feeling that 35-40% of the folks selling that stuff, making money off it, doesn't believe any of it anyway.
No.
It's a nice opportunity.
No, it's the equivalent of when I was in New York for the 2007 blackout, how there was I survived the 2007 blackout within 4 hours of the blackout.
Yes.
Those t-shirts, how did you guys have power? That's the level of grift, that they do at CPAC. I really love Schuster. Can we just all agree that he's crushing it out there? And it's a different tack than Emma, who's so good. Emma Vigeland just letting the conservatives sort of tie the noose around their own neck and kind of basically ruin themselves, where Schuster's kind of pushing back in a really fun way. I don't know, I love it.
I feel like they kind of know it too. They can see they can see the interjections happening, and then you wonder, should I be doing this interview still?
Yeah. Triangle fragrance, Jayar. Triangle. It's high end. Why isn't Louis Vuitton here? Triangle.
Maybe they should. They may buy. Who knows? So again, you guys, the rest of these, there's a lot more that David put up there on the Rebel HQ YouTube channel. There's multiple videos there. Go and have some fun. Comment on it. See what you like. Tell us your favorite. I want to move on to this next story because as we continue with this drumbeat of the war and the invasion that happens in Ukraine, I think some people are starting to realize where they went wrong. Let's go. So now that the world's watching, as Russia still in the middle of Ukraine, committing devastating acts, people being run out of their homes, some killed as well. Some of the folks that helped push this or were in support of Putin and his invasion beforehand, or just thought it was just a game, news actors like Tucker Carlson being one of them, points out that, man, everybody's saying that I had something to do with rooting for Putin. I don't know why. Let's watch.
We have Republicans who are rooting for Russia, and that makes it very hard for President Biden to get the whole country to go along when Donald Trump, Mike Pompeo, and Tucker Carlson are rooting for Russians, and that's being replayed on Russia TV to rally Russians for this cause.
You know, it's such an awful thing to say. We hesitated even to play that. It's very common. You hear it every day. The question is, why are they saying that? It doesn't make sense.
Flashback.
But is there another reason we should side with Ukraine over Russia? Russia is a much more significant country by every measure. Why is it disloyal to side with Russia, but loyal to side with Ukraine? They're both foreign countries that don't care anything about the United States. China, which is the actual threat. Why would we take Ukraine's side? Why wouldn't we be on Russia's side? I'm totally confused so much. Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Has he shipped every middle-class job in my town to Russia? I should say, for the record, I'm totally opposed to these sanctions, and I don't think that we should be at war with Russia. And I think we should probably take the side of Russia if we have to choose between Russia and Ukraine. That is my view. But Ukraine and Russia. And I'm serious. Like, why do
I'll tell you why.
And why shouldn't I root for Russia, which I am?
Oh, it's almost like he's been rooting for Russia right before he said, I don't know why they're saying I'm rooting for Russia, which Swalwell, of course, pointed that out directly because Representative Swalwell does not. He's not shy about responding to these types of folks, Francesca. So where does this lead his followers next?
It's just amazing. Like, we hesitated to play it for you.
Yeah.
And now back to our regularly scheduled Putin apologism. Like, it's just insane. Like, the fact that someone just called him on it, he doesn't like. Because again, Tucker couches everything in positing. Well, why should I support Ukraine over Russia? I'm not saying I do support it, but if I were to choose, I probably would choose Russia. Like, bro, I think you're just saying the thing, but you're couching it in a question, right? It is the most sort of insidious rhetorical device. And yeah, yes, people should be pointing it out at him. And again, I'm glad we are, and I'm glad mainstream media and honestly representatives are. I feel like sometimes a lot of mainstream media feel that the right wing covering the far right is like too much off there. It's like not respectable enough. And so good, I'm glad people are actually calling this for what it is. And as we just saw at CPAC, they're trying to like remember what Tucker said and echo it. Putin never stole my drink at happy hour. Like they're doing it poorly, but it has an impact.
It does, and that's something they're seeing how this works. They've seen how Trump has misled his followers this whole time. Pompeo was another one that was talking about how smart and how such a genius Putin is, and he's savvy, man. And when we work together, I say, hey, that's gonna kill a lot of people. And he said, I know. There's this weird like casual joking tone they've all had with this, and I don't think they took it as seriously as the intel community was telling us was happening. There's people on both sides out talking about it's not gonna happen. Fine, I get that. But then after it happens, and you've now discussed this so flippantly, it's probably better to say, you know what, we made a mistake, rather than, I don't know why they're saying this. It's 2022, everything that you guys say is recorded. You're broadcasting. In case you forgot what that is. We're watching and we can play it back to you. But again, they've believed what these leaders tell them, their followers. They believe what they tell them versus what they see every other time. So I guess there's no reason why Tucker should think this would be any different this time. It's just the way it is. Let's go to this next story because it's more Republicans thinking that they have some control over people's minds when all they have to do is read. It's about MLK. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he's using Martin Luther King's speeches and his quotes from the I Have a Dream speech like everyone else does to weaponize it against teaching critical race theory in schools, which is not being taught, which is not being introduced, which is not being implemented whatsoever. It's another culture war battle that they're trying to push for the midterms. So he's added himself to this list of people who do things like this. But you know what? Ron DeSantis also did it as well, as you guys have heard before this. But Greg Abbott jumped in here with this. Let's watch.
Now, what critical race theory does, it divides people along the lines of race and then pits them against each other to fight against each other. And it's contrary not only to our Constitution, but contrary also to what Martin Luther King Jr. himself taught us, and that is we're to be judged not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. That is what Texas stands for.
You think about what MLK stood for. He said he didn't want people judged on the color of their skin, but on the content of their character. You listen to some of these people nowadays, they don't talk about that.
Critical race theory goes against everything Martin Luther King has ever told us. Don't judge us by the color of our skin. And now they're embracing it, right? They're going backward.
Okay, so their favorite line is, do not be judged by the color of your skin, but the content of your character. Now, when the content of your character is based in continue to protect and hide the history of our country and the rabid racism that's been systematically implemented from the beginning of the founding here, then I think it's more about your character than it is the color of your skin. Now, if you connect your character to the color of your skin and all those horrific things that happened, that's up to you. You can distance yourself from it and say, you know what, that was a horrible part of our history and we're changing. We're not doing that anymore. But instead we'll just claim to and say Martin Luther King has our back on that. Let's get to a few actual things that Martin Luther King said about color and also education, specifically education here. Here's a quote from him. Whites, it must frankly be said, are not putting in a similar mass effort to re-educate themselves out of their racial ignorance. Wow. It is an aspect of their sense of superiority that the white people of America believe they have so little to learn. The reality of substantial investment to assist Negroes into the 20th century, adjusting to Negro neighbors and genuine school integration is still a nightmare for all too many white Americans. It's like he could have said it right now, except for the parts. Also, he continued on. There's a little bit more from Martin Luther King since they love quoting him. These are the deepest causes for contemporary abrasions between the races. Loose and easy language about equality, resonant resolutions about brotherhood fall pleasantly on the ear. But for the Negro, there's a credibility gap he cannot overlook. He remembers that with each modest advance, the white population promptly raises the argument that the Negro has come far enough. Each step forward accents an ever-present tendency to backlash. Wow. There's more, Francesca. What are your first thoughts?
No, I mean, it is such a defamation. It's such a sullying of his legacy, of everything that he stood for, to drag up the quote of MLK. And honestly, the thing that I would ask is, has America reached a point where we judge people by the content of their character and not the color of their skin? That's a simple question. Yep. Yeah. He said he wanted that. So have we gotten there? Yes or no? And if you say yes, you're lying to yourself because you're in the same state where you are currently rolling back voting rights, which is the main thing MLK Jr. fought for. So as you reject mail-in ballots currently on this Tuesday of the primaries, you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth here. So yeah, you can say that however you want, but the thing that conservatives hate is that you even mention that we haven't gotten there, that you talk about how the judicial system is racist, right? Not individually, but put together, that housing can be racist, right? That all different systems, that education, that so many ways that we have ongoing segregation, an ongoing two-tiered system in this country, depending on the color of your skin. They want to ignore that. That for them is the racism. These guys have codified reverse racism, a thing that does not exist. They have made it real and put it into the boogeyman known as CRT.
Yeah, once they had the attention of folks and made them believe anything that they told them that had no basis in reality, they knew that they could manipulate any of these angles. Now suddenly there's reverse racism and all these black folks are coming for you somehow with all this governmental power and control and levers of our systems that black folks have collectively to just come after you. So they've got them convinced, and now they've got enough pushback from that and think that they're being attacked, and then there's the victims through all of this. When it's as simple as acknowledging our history, and it's as simple as accepting that we could be better. And oddly, I don't know how they don't see that yet. Actually, I think they do. And it was pointed out in some of these quotes. He directly said, hey, if you want to keep ignoring it for the advancement of yourself and not liking that black folks get forward, that would be the problem. We see it when we have backdoor, some of these revealed conversations with police officers, prosecutors, all these things that happen when we find out way many people really think about black folks in this country, we just kind of ignore it afterwards. And then say, Martin Luther King would not like you to judge me based off of what I just said and did to you. Yeah, he would. Let's take our first break. And I want to hear from you guys, first of all. It'd be lovely. I want to know what you guys are talking about. But also, when we come back, I've got some Madison Cawthorn for you guys today, as usual. I'm not sure which side he's on. He's either with the young folks or he's with the boomers. We're trying to figure it out. I think he's trying to play both sides of this here. Also, the governor of Nevada was approached and threatened quite directly. It's a bit of a startling video. We'll do both of those when we come back.
We're very honest that we're progressives. We call the Young Turks home of progressives, and we support progressive candidates.
There has been this reemergence of political activism, especially among young people.
This weekend was the second Women's March, both across the US and across the world. So these people are not simply marching, they're not simply talking, they're also running for office. And when they do run, they're gonna make a difference.
Joe Crowley is congressman from New York. He's very powerful. Why? He raised a lot of money. But there's someone finally challenging him.
We need to have representation
that advocates as fiercely for working class people as possible from this seat.
If candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even get a little bit of media attention outside of what the Young Turks does, they have an excellent chance of winning.
She's gonna win. She's gonna win. 68% reporting.
The majority of Americans want Medicare for all. So I don't care what you and your corporate cronies want. What I care about is what the American people want.
We believe in total change. Everything runs on donor money. And that is what we will fight. And that is exactly why they don't like us.
We're having fun. It's election night.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has defeated Joe Crowley.
Here we go again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Down goes Crowley. Down goes Crowley. Down goes Manafort. Down goes Cohen.
Women came out in record numbers in the primaries.
They said you'll be lucky to get one candidate. We now have 12 that have won their primaries.
Bezos and Amazon announcing that they are going to go to a 15-hour minimum wage.
We're making progress. Let's keep going.
Many of these women made history.
The biggest victories, all women of color. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, Sharice Davids and Deb Haaland.
And I want to go to Congress because I want to change those things.
I'm calling it. Jamal Bowman has won. Down goes Engel. Down goes Engel.
For a long time, we have not had progressives in power. It's going to be something to behold.
Welcome to Happy Hour, everybody. After a week of soul-crushing news, we break out the good stuff. Good news, good videos, good people, and, of course, drink good alcohol. That's the worst thing I've ever had.
This is the best show.
Full disclosure, we did do a shot right before the show began. It says,
let's
flamingo.
Flamingo.
The reason you had trouble with that word is it's not a word.
Okay.
This is the one of everything.
I've got a rash. Could I just put it on that to see if it'll take it off?
What did you used to think this was?
Bull piss.
Drink it, swallow it,
No.
spit it. Oh, that's needed after a day like this. Cheers to Brett Ehrlich. Climax. Uranus smells like farts. Because of course it does. This is the worst sketch ever of a perp. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They found the guy. This is Sophie's super happy dog story of the week.
This dog is so precious and deserves the world. I'm just not drinking that beer.
Here's my dog. This is Onyx.
Yeah, I would just say that he's exotic because he's not your traditional dog. Yeah, still 12 out of 10 because they're all good.
Well, if that made you happy, just wait till you see the best thing ever of the week. There is a woman who moves like a horse.
Why do I want to go home and like try this?
We're actually going to show you the running butthole challenge right now. What's happening? No, that's just wrong. Every way. And we'll see you next time.
Hey, Dave. As you can probably see, Skype froze. Frozen crashed.
You know, I'm watching that documentary on the Vietnam War, and there was a TV journalist in the middle of some tiny little village in Vietnam doing live TV as the soldiers were burning the Vietnamese huts, and it didn't crash. And that was 1965, and he was in Vietnam.
No, I'm here. You guys actually thought you heard me again. I apologize, first of all. Welcome back on the watch list. Did you guys think I was muted again? I wasn't. I did actually mute myself. I pushed some button. These are ridiculous things. I got 4 laptops and computers in front of me. I apologize for that. But many of you guys did notice. I'm gonna get to some of y'all's comments. Mickey C, the silver haired dragon said, geez, Jayar, you muted yourself. And I was frantically checking my laptop settings. My bad. My bad. Also, Eileen, the God, No Dragon. These are members, by the way. Thank you guys for being members. You help make the show go. David Schuster is the Jordan Klepper of TYT. Okay. I love David. Calm down. Okay. I'm just messing. Come on, David. Also, Twitch says Dilbert C on Twitch. Dilbert C says, no, the Russian censors have come again, because I did that to myself. And let's move on to some YouTube super chats. The Dragon Slayer Dragon, thank you first of all, says, it's all good, Jayar. As progressives, we can all read lips. Could you though? And also Jota Suave, thank you very much for the super chat. I enjoy the Fran surprise throughout the week. Oh, keep us on our toes. We never know when she's gonna show up. And only serves to make the day better when we hear that angelic laugh. And it's Fran surprise day.
It got weird. Got weird.
I'm trying to think. Is your laugh that recognizable? Would I be able to pick it out? No, not that one. Let's go to this next story because you've already thrown me. All right, let's go. Madison Cawthorn, as you guys know, the representative from North Carolina, he is the youngest representative in Congress. But he's having a battle back and forth between the old folks and those new kids, those new kids and their TikToks and their algorithms. He has some thoughts about how that's working out and how they're all being fooled. Let's check this out.
It's really great to be here surrounded by so many young freedom fighters in this country because when I'm in Washington, D.C., normally I'm closer in age to these people's children or grandchildren than I am actually to the members that I serve with. And I'm not ageist, I don't have anything against older people being in office, but the problem is our country has rapidly changed. Our world has rapidly changed. And unfortunately, Congress has not kept up with the tide of change. We're woefully unprepared to defend ourselves in the areas of cybersecurity, the areas of really what's going on with the algorithms on social media. You see, I thought TikTok was this elaborate scheme from China to try and steal information from America. But really, when I started thinking about it and looking into their algorithms, I realized that while they try and incentivize young people in America to memorize TikTok dances or to shake their butt or to do whatever they're doing, in China, their algorithm encourages people to work on chemistry, to work on engineering, to create these leaders in their world that will be able to dominate Americans. It's a genius strategy, I have to say. It's a strategy that's working.
I guess first thought is, man, what's with the giving the praise and the genius labels to anyone that they claim is better than Americans? It's constant. It's, hey, we suck. You know how much we suck? I thought this was like a conservative talking point normally, that, hey, we're the best and everyone else sucks, which was always wildly inaccurate. Now it's we suck and everyone else is so much better than us. And it's not because of me being a leader or me being a pundit on TV. It's because of those other guys, as if they have nothing to do with how much we suck. Anyways, apparently TikTok is being used for, what is it? The Chinese are using it for engineering and science, Francesca.
I mean, I don't know. I saw some dude who was like, here's how you flip a home. And it was like 30 seconds and it looked real easy. And that guy made money. So, I mean, whether or not that's ethical or like legal, it seemed like he was making money. So don't say that people aren't like learning real skills from TikTok. I have like a recipe that I will do today. It's a TikTok recipe. I forget it every time and I gotta go back. So anyway, yeah, it's very good. But I totally agree with you on this. Like, what is it about conservatism that they simultaneously in the same breath say America first and then America's the worst and we suck because we're shaking our butt on the TikTok. I am cool. Like it makes, here's what I would amend that to say. Like when liberals and when leftists and when progressives talk about like, hey, there's high-speed rails in China. Hey, there's like, there's free like medical care in Scandinavia. Whatever we say, we're doing that in a spirit of celebration and of internationalism and of, hey, we're part of the world and we can learn from them. Conservatives do that in a, that's why we must destroy. Like the competitive, it's always competitive. Like, sorry, there's no winning on earth, much to America's disappointment in the past, but like, we're not really winning this game. But final thought on this clip. I don't know if you guys can hear, nobody's listening to him. There is mad chatter in the background. He's like at a bar, they're all getting drinks. He is not the main event. Trust me, I've done stand up in bars and like when you do not have the audience, that's the sound. Just like, who's this guy? I don't know. Anyway, what'd she say? Oh, weird, crazy, what? TikTok? I love TikTok. Anyway, like it's,
yeah, he heard a couple of cues here and there, but maybe that's when he realized, he's like, well, they don't really care. I might as well just tell them that the engineers. By the way, I don't do TikTok much, but I would assume that the 12 to 15-year-olds who are doing all the dances and stuff, and I'm probably limited that number, I'm sure there's 12 to 15-year-old kids in other countries doing the dances. It's just, I'm sure that's how it works. It's just an oversimplification of what another social media site or app is doing. I don't dive into it that much, but there's stuff on there that's outside of just dancing and learning songs. I don't know, but you can oversimplify it to folks who know better, and then you won't get their votes. So I don't know why you're even there. It's so that he can please Donald Trump further. Who knows? Let's go to this next story because it's a little, it's startling. It kept increasing in its intensity. So let's go to Nevada. The Democratic governor of Nevada, his name is Steve Sisolak, and he was harassed just last evening in Las Vegas at a restaurant by some New World Order conspiracy theorists. Let's check out this video that they filmed. Watch.
You Steve Sisolak, right? That's amazing. I can't tell you what a piece of shit you are. Sorry to hear that. You New World Order traitor piece of shit bastard. You're in here without security? Woo!
I want to second that.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
For treason, and I hope you man.
I'm surprised that you have the balls to be out here in public, punk. Out here without a cop, out here without security? Woo! You got balls on you, boy. I'm not moving.
Wait till we find all the money that flowed his way from.
Oh, man.
Yeah, hiding the hydroxy.
Oh, you in trouble. Let's go. Yeah, you better get the out of here, Sisolak.
Probably a good idea to go somewhere else.
Where's your security at, huh? Huh? Where's your, don't touch me, lady. Where's your security at, huh? You want to sell us all down the river? You working for China, piece of shit. You traitors, we should string you up by lampposts right now, pussy boy.
Sure. Do you know what they do to traitors?
They hang them. Traitors. That's right, Patriot.
I think it's awesome.
You running into a Patriot now, huh? Huh? Where's your security at?
Where's your security at? You're in trouble now, boy. All of these things that obviously denote threats. What would he need security for if something wasn't gonna happen to him? So we'll see where this all goes. But anyway, that man following around the restaurant, his name is Justin Anders. He's a right-wing conspiracy theorist and creator of that Cannabis and Combat podcast. And as you saw there in the credit there, he also accuses him, Sisolak, the governor there, of being a part of the New World Order. What's that thing about the whole New World Order? It's from the American Defense League. They define this as a right-wing conspiracy theory that became popular among anti-government extremists in the 90s and onwards. New World Order conspiracists believe that a tyrannical socialist one world conspiracy has already taken over most of the planet and schemes to eliminate the last bastion of freedom. And they also commonly believe that hundreds of concentration camps have been built in the US ready to house dissenters, that the government will declare martial law possibly on a pretext such as responding to a terrorist attack, and the government will engage in mass gun confiscations. So more on this guy, because he's all over the internet. He shows himself for who he is. So look at this shirt that he's wearing in this one particular picture, I guess in his Cannabis and Combat podcast. It says domestic terrorist, founded in 1776. I guess he doesn't think much of the founding fathers, so maybe he's on the side of folks who want to tell us what they were up to at times and some of the bad policies and thoughts they had. And also there's these beanies that he sells. In case you didn't know who this guy is, Pure Blood. Of course, it's in the form and look and font, but similar to Donald Trump, so the Trump 2020 type of look. Also, some of the podcast titles he had for that podcast he's got. FDA cancels monoclonal antibodies, confirmed, question mark and exclamation point. Joe Biden is a pedophile. The next one, truckers headed to DC. Rubber material inside vaxxed veins. Dims imploding. Okay, so this is who this guy is, Francesca.
Absolutely terrifying. I mean, I truly believe that it is okay to speak to your elected officials in public and voice your concerns. Sometimes they won't even look you in the eye if you're Kyrsten Sinema and you're in Arizona, which is interesting because we're right next to it here in Nevada. But this is awful. Like this is incredibly scary. And I keep on thinking like, I think right wingers respond to a certain amount of violence and like, and I say that in like a puffy chest kind of way. Like I sort of remember when like Chris Cuomo stood up to the people harassing him and they were like, oh no, I like you, bro. And so I kind of want like the governor to say something back, but this guy is so aggressive that I think that would have made it 10 times worse. I think it's good that he left, but it is frightening. And if anything, a reminder that anti-government extremist white terrorist organizations are the fastest and the biggest growing threat to public officials and to civilians in this country. And the lesson I hope we draw from this, and the lesson I hope that governor draws from this, is that we need to take these seriously, and we need to make sure that we are monitoring them, that we understand if there's any kind of plot. I mean, God, there could be a plot on his life, as we saw in Michigan in 2020. So,
and yeah, if you think about it, that's part of, like, look at the posting of the video. He wants folks to see this. He wants, you would think, people who think the same way he does about Sisolak to see this and maybe be inspired, or maybe congratulate him. Who knows what the exact motivation is? But what one thing it could do, as people who are horrified by this, others could be encouraged by it. Like, this is great, yeah. He should totally do that. Now, you talked about Kirsten Sinema, how she was getting followed through the airport and also into the restroom, which that's when I think many people started dividing whether or not they believed it should have gone that far. But what were those people doing when they were talking to Sinema? They were asking her questions because if she had to answer them, it would expose her policies and what she's doing incorrectly in Congress, or what she's doing that's not in support of the people who voted for her. Put it that way. This is threats. This is, how did you get in here without security, boy? Y'all, you're gonna just in trouble now. It's like this, like, excited laughter, like, you know what I'm gonna do to you, right?
Yes.
That's the difference. So if you want to talk about whether or not someone's getting followed, or an elected official is getting followed or talked to in public, there's two different energies behind that. And I guarantee you, if a group of several guys rolls up on some Republican and says, "Oh, you're in the wrong place, boy," I get a feeling that they're gonna think this is a threat.
Oh yeah. Shoe on the other foot. They always freak out about that when it's just like a group of protesters who like actually have like, a real organization. They're like 501c3s and they like do this work all the time, i.e. Sunset Movement or Sunrise Movement. And they're like, "Oh, we're being harassed." Like, no, you're just being asked to be held accountable. I just want to say, cannabis and combat. Like, by the way, I don't know how y'all are. I don't know how you are, Jayar. When I get high, I am like a raging empath. I am like the most empathetic. I am like, oh my God, that aunt died, and who was its mom? Like, I can't imagine being high and violent. It just does not compute. The guy has not found the right strain. I don't know what's up with in Nevada.
Well, maybe it's not simultaneously. It must be just like, first high, then the next day, let's get violent. End of the day, wrap it up a little bit more high.
Right?
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to listen to the podcast closely to find out. You first.
Okay. Rochambeau for it.
Let's jump to one more break, you guys, because we have a couple more come back. I've been wanting to talk about these convoys. Should we go now? We have time? Should we go now? I can do it now. Fine, let's go now. I like these trucker convoys because I don't want to talk about this for a while. And have they been building steam or have they been falling apart? Let's go straight into that then. Fine, let's go, do it. So now the conservative media and pundits have kind of stopped talking about that trucker convoy up in Canada. The ones that have tried to splinter off and make themselves an American version of it haven't been doing so well. You haven't been hearing much about them because there's not much to hear about, but I want to talk about it. So this latest convoy that was supposed to go from California to DC to interrupt, or not necessarily interrupt, but to be there in time for Joe Biden's State of the Union address, which is this evening, it broke down at the Missouri-Kansas border. Not mechanically, just it kind of ended. But one organizer from that particular one, he did have this to say about a week ago about their efforts.
Our routes meet here in DC on March 1st in time for your State of the Union address. We are very organized and our routes are public. I even pulled a permit for the National Mall to be respectful. I just want to be as transparent as possible from the start so there's no confusion. We are coming peacefully. On behalf of Freedom Convoy USA 2022, we are asking you to end the state of emergency, end the mandates once and for all. Sir, the world is watching us, because they know that if what's happening in Canada happens to us here in the land of the free, then freedom as we know it is gone. We're ready to get back to our lives, the ones promised and guaranteed in the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the contract that you signed and swore an oath to under the one true God. This is simple. End this.
Seems like a reasonable guy there. Well, and I'm being serious now. He's trying to come across like, hey, we just want things to change and we're gonna do this whole trucker convoy to do it and just take that idea. So I think that's the energy he's trying to come with there. So
youth pastor energy, mega youth pastor energy.
Oh yeah, I can see that. There's a lot of head shaking.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's not used, yeah.
If you are gay, you will go to hell. I'm not trying to say that in a bad way. I'm trying to say that in a good way. Like that vibe. Anyway, keep going.
It's the thing. It's the hand placement. Yeah, I think he's trying to be relatable, and it almost looks, as you mentioned, that part. So he's part of the Freedom Convoy USA 2022. This is the update on February 25th for what's happened with them next. From their Facebook page, important update. The launch in California had a good turnout of supporters, but only 5 trucks were with us on arrival in Vegas. There are 2 other convoys that have massive turnouts and are in progress to the DC area as we speak. So there's other convoys coming from other areas. Also, last week, hundreds turned out for the convoy's kickoff in Aladento, California, organized to emulate a convoy of truckers that were protesting against COVID-19 regulations in Canada last month. However, many of the people who came to the event were only spectators, and most of the truckers and vehicle drivers who started out with the convoy said that they were planning to drop out after they crossed over into Arizona. Now, this is where this one's kind of been. It looks like they kind of didn't make it past Arizona, maybe Colorado area, who knows. But there's another trucker convoy, because this was a couple weeks ago as well, maybe even a week, that was supposed to start out in Pennsylvania, in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And that was started by Bob Bolus. He was on this. Let's look at some of the details of that. So MAGA trucker Bob Bolus, he vowed that his makeshift freedom convoy was gonna make a beeline from Scranton, Pennsylvania to DC this week, and it would choke the nation's capital like a boa constrictor in protest of vaccine mandates. So they're on the mandates as well. Here, let's watch really fast how the one from Scranton turned out. Watch.
To pull all their trucks off the road today to just come here made absolutely no sense. We got a few cars, we got truck drivers in cars, we got people that see what we're doing on social media and everywhere else. It's like having 10,000 people anyway. They don't necessarily have to see what we're doing. This trailer speaks volumes.
The trailer speaks volumes. The 5 cars that were there, 1 truck and 4 vehicles, really made it happen. Now, really fast, because this is the best part about this, guys. Listen to this. So this is still with Bob Bolus. So on Wednesday evening of that whole trucker convoy, Bolus and his sidekick Betsy Green and their 18-wheeler arrived in the Northern Virginia area, only to quickly become lost. In a series of phone conversations with the Daily Beast over nearly 3 hours, the circular I-495 Beltway got the best of the duo who couldn't find their way and got stuck in rush hour traffic. You're not gonna see a convoy, Green admitted near the end of the night. As for Bolus, the lead convoy driver, Green declared that he didn't know where in the hell he is. Oh. So they said they're gonna leave the metro area Wednesday and they're gonna head back to Scranton. Oh.
That circular I-495, gets them every time. It separates the locals from the yokels.
I almost got lost on that freeway. I went to Virginia area. I was like, I rented a car and I was like, okay, I'm from LA, this should be easy. It wasn't.
Oh my God. Every time I'm on like I've done a few of those drives and you're just like, this is a get out moment. Like this is how Get Out begins. I'm gonna find some weird, nice house with a bunch of rich white people and then they're gonna eat my brains or whatever happens. Yeah, this is, yeah, look at this movement. It fizzled partly, and I'm gonna give credit to Ram Ranch Resistance, the people trolling the truckers in Ottawa, and all the people who showed that this was a clown show to begin with. It really was, and yeah, it had a moment. It was fine, yay for them, but it's not translating to anything more. And a lot of the people who like gave money to whatever GoFundMe and are like not getting their money back, don't know what's going on. Like it's very, very transparently a grift. And poor guy who's like, it's like 10,000 people. Yeah, that's what we all tell ourselves when like, a few people watch our Facebook lives, but no one's there in person. Or like, well, it's like if you think about the algorithm.
Yeah, they'll kind of be there. It's bless him, and hopefully they'll figure out that these things are all easing up anyway. And it would have been sooner if everyone would have followed a couple of general guidelines.
We got no mask mandates anymore, Jayar. Like,
oh well, yeah, they won.
You got everything.
Well, also Sean Hannity and them stopped talking about it. That's really the reason why they can't get any more traction, because the people who made their money and time off of it have already taken it and run. Let's take this break, and we'll come back in a couple minutes, you guys. We have a couple more stories. Jennifer Griffin on Fox News is laying down the law on any insane previous guest to her. We'll do that when we come back.
Sharp increase in healthcare insurance premiums next year in response to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic.
The country is desperate for Medicare for all, but the mainstream media will tell you nonstop lies about how people don't want it.
Between 5.8 million and 23 million lost their healthcare just during this pandemic. And Joe Biden says, no, I don't think that's an argument for Medicare for all.
How are you gonna find $35 trillion?
They constantly misstate things, but without explaining that the current system costs at least $50 trillion. Every other developed nation has a single payer system, and they all pay less. In fact, on average, they pay about half of what we pay.
It doesn't matter if taxes go up, if your healthcare costs go way, way down.
The for-profit health insurance companies are simply a scam, price gouging you, and they're in between you and your doctor.
Look, guys, the good news is we're gonna win. We're gonna get Medicare for all.
A famous new author has a book out. His name is Dogan Uger. That's my dad. Okay, the name of the book is called The Original Young Turk, and it's his life story. I read it, trust me, you're gonna love it. He has such a straightforward way of telling stories that you're gonna be amused by it. It's like, well, then I met JFK, then I was at the White House, then I started a business, then I became Businessman of the Year. It's amazing. You're gonna love the stories, and it's part of what made me progressive. Check it out at shoptyt.com.
It is wrong to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country.
Look, I tell you guys, the most important thing is voting in primaries. Primaries, primaries, primaries.
I hope every American will vote for the candidate and party of his choice, but vote.
We cannot continue to complain about corruption and complain about what's happening in this country and continue to vote for it.
Let's get it right this time. It could be a moment of redemption for what happened in 2016.
Back on the watch list, Francesca, Jayar. How you guys doing? Let's get to this next story, you guys, because Jennifer Griffin on Fox News is ruffling some feathers. Let's do it. So Fox News has this new segment on lately. They bring on a guest to talk about the Russia situation, invasion in Ukraine, and right after the person comes on and says things that are in support of maybe Putin or maybe just don't make much sense, they bring on their correspondent Jennifer Griffin. She comes on right afterwards and says, yeah, whatever I was gonna talk about, forget that. Instead, I wanna rip your previous guest a new one. So first of all is Colonel Doug Macgregor. He came on and he talked about how Putin has no intention of moving troops west of the Polish border, and then we should just let him take what he wants. Griffin didn't really want to agree with that. Let's watch.
We are imputing to him things that he does not want to do in our usual effort to demonize him and his country.
So when you say stay out of it, you mean no sanctions, no military aid, just let Russia take the portion of Ukraine they want to take?
Yes, absolutely. I see no reason why we should fight with the Russians over something that they have been talking about for years. We simply chose to ignore it.
We chose to ignore it. Jennifer Griffin then steps in and says this in response right after.
Before we get started, I just heard your last guess, and I feel like I need to correct some of the things that Colonel Doug Macgregor just said, because, and I'm not sure 10 minutes is enough time to do so, because there were so many distortions in what he just said, and talking about the West and NATO vilifying Putin and sounding like an apologist for Putin, and talking about how he thinks he knows how far Putin wants to go. I don't think anyone that I've spoken to here at the Pentagon or elsewhere in Western intelligence intelligence believes they know how far Putin wants to go. And Vladimir Putin is a former KGB agent. He's been laying the groundwork for this. And the kind of appeasement talk that Colonel Doug McGregor, who should know better, because when he was in government, he was the one who was advising President Trump to pull all U.S. troops out of Germany. That kind of projection of withdrawal and weakness is what made Putin think that he could actually move into a sovereign country like Ukraine. Trey.
She's like, Trey, take it from here. Now, Trey Gowdy went on to agree with her, even though he didn't push back on the previous guest. He's like, you're right. I don't know why he did it. So I'm not sure really what Trey Gowdy believes. But anyway, it goes, first up, body blow, blind blow, uppercut, cross. There goes this guy. Next up is Donald Bulldog. He went also on Fox as well to talk about how we're not supplying military troops in combat enough help to Ukraine so they can increase this war. He said, let's check out this quote here. He was asked specifically what kind of assistance America ought to provide to Ukraine. And he said, we have indirect fires, we have direct capabilities, and so does NATO. We have to get more stuff in there, and we have to get more combat help in there. So increasing the war, which some people are very much like, I don't know if we should do that right now. So one of those people could have been Jennifer Griffin. She then stepped on and said this about General Bulldog.
But I have to respond to something your previous guest, Brigadier General Baldock, said, because he really was way off the mark in terms of talking about what the U.S. could do on the ground. Putin has nuclear weapons. That is why the U.S. military and NATO do not have troops on the ground inside Ukraine. The Ukrainians are very good fighters. They have been, it's a totally different military than it was in 2014. They do not need Americans to fight for them, because that would then cause this to spread. And clearly, Brigadier General Baldock is not a student of history. He's a politician. He ran for Senate in New Hampshire and failed. He is not a military strategist. And to suggest that the U.S. would put indirect fires or special operations or CIA on the ground to give Putin any sort of excuse to broaden this conflict is extremely dangerous talk at a time like this.
Wow.
How much longer do you think she's gonna last on Fox News?
Oh my God, preach. It's just amazing to have someone who has that amount of like nuance and analysis and understanding, basically like pushing back against the Putin worship on one hand, but then also pushing back against the like crazy drive for war on the other, which again, Fox News and the right is holding at the same exact time, as if it's like, no, Biden needs to go harder. No, we need to love Putin harder. I love her. That's amazing. I mean, Fox News viewers who tuned in were like, oh, what? They learned a little bit.
Well, I'll give you a few quotes from some Fox News viewers, because as you can imagine, it was a little bit of what and a lot more of a how dare she. Let's check out this first tweet here. You've got a lot of nerve going after the military men on Fox.
Ooh.
Why don't you go over to CNN with their leftist crap? Because there's no men over there. Also, she said, tweeting right at Jen Griffin, you seem to think that you have monopoly on truth. I don't want you to decide for me what's true. Fox presents both sides, then we decide. You are condescending and rude. Cram it, Jennifer. Trump is right. Okay, so that was an original thought as well, I guess. And also, there's some good old-fashioned, how dare you? We saw about the military men that she's attacking. That's a problem. Now, her whole feminism is an issue. Let's look at this next tweet here from someone else. Notice how Fox has to get the hysterical Jennifer Griffin on there to insult any guest who dare suggest we stay out of a new war in Europe. How dare she?
I wasn't even gonna bring up her gender, but of course Fox News viewers did. But it was kind of dope to see a woman being and a national like security correspondent and analyst be the one to put these generals in their place and also call out, look, this is a politician and a general. When politicians and generals come on, they have ulterior motives, whether they be, like weapons contractors who are paying them on the low or on the high low and or running for office. So she's not either of those things. She's trying to actually give it to you straight.
And this is what you'll see when you have reporters actually go and have to report, or she works in close with folks and what they're actually doing on the ground and not in the studio, getting the talking points together. When you see the realities, and maybe she has her views and her opinions, which she might, I don't know. But if those things don't match up, how do you separate the reality from just what you would like for it to be? And then you have to report about it, and you see someone wildly say something completely inaccurate. It's kind of hard to go, yeah, so I'm gonna build off of that. It's just it won't feel right. And same thing happened with Harris Faulkner, and it's why you can't always just pundit from the table. That's why you bring in an expert and be like, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's okay to say that.
Yes.
Then move on. It's simple. Wow, this hour went by fast, you guys. It's because Francesca was here. Thank you for joining me, Francesca. It's been a lovely day. Maybe we'll have you back on Monday through Friday of next week. We'll decide that then. I'm sure you're game. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you guys for being here as well. Thank you for watching. We have until tomorrow, man. Tomorrow's Wednesday. And we've got many more stories for you guys. Then up next is the Damage Report with John Idarola. And until then, I will be watching.